Hey folks, high value D&D. Don't just give me your subscription, but please let me earn it. Let me earn your like and let me earn your comment. I'm going to do a little review on this movie called Am I a Racist? I had the pleasure of seeing that movie yesterday with my buddy in Albuquerque. I drove up there to get some ski equipment, ski gear, because I'm getting ready for the season, and we had to end our day together and go watch a little film from Mount Walsh. And this film was completely hilarious. I think in general, systemic racism is pretty well null and void. However, I do believe racism is real. And that is clearly evidenced by how people that look like me are treated in the media time and time again. People talk about white male this, cis straight white Christian conservative male this and that, so on and so forth. And people in my demographic, Germanic, Anglo-European people, Anglo-European males in particular, were just constantly berated in media, in movies, and I don't know why. Well, I mean, their argument would be, well, I'm the oppressor, I am the top class, or this patriarchal guy that is feeding this system of racism against black and brown people. Um, so I do believe racism still exists, and I do believe racism exists against minorities of all types. There, particularly in New York City, there was black individuals attacking Chinese individuals, Asian individuals, just because they were Asian. There has been instances of black people killing white people, young white kids, actually, because of who they are, because they are Anglo-European, because they are Germanic descent. So it does happen. And there are racist things that happen against black folks as well. Perhaps people judge them based on stereotypes and prejudices. Maybe they say, oh, this house is not available for rent, or oh, this job's not available, or something. Maybe because they were burned in the past by someone that looked like them, that maybe came from their similar culture. There's racism towards Indians, and Asians again. It's very common to see people or hear people talk in different Asian voices or Indian voices, impressions and stuff, and some of that can be good fun. Some of that's not necessarily supposed to be ill-spirited or mean or meant to be racist or portraying an air of superiority over one other person. Okay. But in the start of the video, I want to just say that I do acknowledge that there is racism to this day because I think people are fundamentally sinful. The Bible says all have fallen short of the glory of God. We're all sinful people, okay? So people have racist thoughts, people have prejudiced thoughts. That's not to be debated. But the whole idea about systemic racism, about how, like the book White Fragility by this one author or whatever, how we need to deconstruct whiteness, how whiteness is bad, or how whiteness frames our democracy and our justice system and all this nonsense, I think that person that wrote that book is actually being racist, okay? But the movie itself, Am I Racist? Matt Walsh, he goes undercover and he's trying to expose this discussion, this problem of systemic racism and the industry behind it. And it is an industry. The reason why that people keep peddling these ideas is because they're getting paid, quite honestly. Follow the money and you'll find out who is getting paid and who is behind these certain agendas and these certain trainings, these nonsensical university PhDs, degrees that in race studies or whatever. He goes undercover and he goes and interviews people. He goes into courses, seminars about race, and he dresses up and he asks certain pointed questions, or he says sarcastic things, maybe verifying or supporting what the speaker says. But in doing so, he's demonstrating how blatantly stupid this is. It really is a social experiment of a movie. In one particular part of the movie, the individual that wrote that book, White Fragility, he's asking her questions about her ideology, and it is an ideology. It's essentially a religion, in my opinion. But he's asking her questions. Then he brings his black friend, he says, part of his cast and crew, into the interview, and he gives his black friend money from his wallet. Okay, and this makes the interviewee uncomfortable, and she says, "Why did you do that? Why that was weird." But he uses this agenda, this peddled myth, this ideology that she has framed, using the framework that she has. And he says, "Well, we need to do what we can right now. We need to give reparations." She responds, she says, "Oh, well, that needs to be done by the government. That needs to be systemic." And like a good liberal, of course, she doesn't want to reach into her own pocket and hand her money and put her money on the line for the cause, right? But he is successfully able to subtly, or it's not so subtly in some ways, pressure her to go to her purse to get her billfold out and get $30 and hand this black guy. Good for her. She finally has done what she has said other people need to do, other white people need to do, Germanic tribe people. And I highly recommend you go watch the movie. If you are conservative leaning at all, you will love it. You will die laughing at every step. It was a fun way to spend an evening with a buddy of mine. And there's so much more that I could mention about the movie. Something else that comes to mind is he does a class where he has like 10, 15 people in the class, all white people that are guilty, that feel guilty of who they are, that are self-deprecating. They hate their own people, how they look. But they were there to, he found them through Craigslist and other means, but they're there to learn about how to be less racist, how to combat racism, how to be the change and do the work on themselves, because they're these mean old racist people. And he has them do all of these things and put where they would rank themselves as far as how racist they think they are. And at one point, he even says, "Okay, now in this exercise, we're gonna self flog each other. So I'm gonna give you whips, and you're literally gonna hit yourself to punish yourself for racism." And crazy enough, there was a couple people that took a whip and took a spoon to spank themselves with. It's unbelievable how weak-minded people are, and how just how they can be controlled. It is very interesting, the dynamic behind that, and it is no wonder that people just went along to go along to get along, like in World War II, where people went along with killing systematically killing people, and people just went along with communist principles and just towed the line. They didn't toe the line. They just were a good soldier. They were a good citizen, and they just went with the flow, and they never questioned anything. This movie does a great job of exploring those themes. And so I encourage you to go watch this movie. At the end of the movie, Matt Walsh makes a good point. He essentially says that no, we don't have systemic racism. And this whole race baiting industry in the United States, it is just that. It is an industry. It is there to make money, and it is there for academics that could never do a job in the real world. They go and they spend their time and they get some useless degree, and they go peddle these pseudo-scientific ideas of systemic racism, and they try to pigeonhole people into certain groups. And when you think about it, they are actually the more racist people by constantly talking about our differences. And yeah, if they would just stick with that we are Americans first, and that we love this country, that we want to do better, and we haven't always been perfect in this country, not by a long shot. We have issues, just like every other country in the world, because this country was made by sinful people, governed by sinful people. The citizens of today, we are sinful, okay? It's not been perfect, but we are the best country in the world, and I'm confident about that. I ought to make a separate video just talking about why I think that. But with that, I encourage you to go see the movie. Let me know what you think below. Have you seen the movie? What do you think of the movie? Or have you not seen the movie and do you want to go see the movie? I'm not sponsored by Daily Wire. I just had a great time and I wanted to make a video for you guys. So I hope I earned your subscription. I hope I earned your like and I hope I earned your comment. Let me know what you think below. Until next time.